Everyone, welcome to the workshop, Manage Your Online Presence. I'm Ashley Johnson, Business and Outreach Librarian at the Vernon Area Library, and I'm excited that you've joined us today. In this workshop, we're going to spend some time exploring social media, your online presence, and how your online presence can affect your job search and ultimately your career opportunities. So I'm going to just start sharing my screen. Let's get started. Today we'll begin by exploring social media. We'll talk about the various types of social media platforms that are commonly used. We'll talk about how personal content from your profile details to your posts can have an effect on your job opportunities. You'll complete an exercise where you take the role of a hiring manager for a clothing store, and you'll have the chance to discuss the social media behavior of the people who are interviewing for the job, which is going to be fun. Next, we'll talk about some of the ways that you can avoid problems that happen when you use social media. And finally, we'll go over some strategies you can use to make social media work for you and not against you and help you actually build your career. All right, most people participate in some sort of social media. Different social media platforms allow you to post photos, connect with friends, communicate with people around the world, and even look for a job or start a new career path. No matter which social media platform you use, it's important to understand that everything you put online can affect the people, how people view you, and can have an impact on the other parts of your life as well. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. So, for example, many employers search social media to view the online presence of employees before hiring them. The things you post can hurt your chances of getting hired or even jeopardize a career that you've built. But social media can also be a very powerful tool for finding a job, connecting with people who can help your career or even potential future employers. So imagine you were alive 100 years ago and most everyone you knew would be living in the same town or city as you. So if you wanted to communicate with lots of people at once, you could go somewhere where lots of people were gathered together, maybe like a town center or a even just shops and stores. But since social media was created, we have the ability now to communicate with hundreds or even thousands of people all at the click of the button. Our town hall is now in our hand, on our cell phone, or on our computers from anywhere at any time. Since we're often alone when we're using social media, the things that we post online can feel private and anonymous, when in fact they are very public. So people post things from their own home or phone that they would never say to someone's face or shout loud in any sort of town square, if we're using the same analogy here. And this can sometimes lead to online arguments or even can be considered harassment. So if you use social media, it's important to remember that once something is posted to a public social media account, anyone can find it quick with an online search. For these reasons, it's very important to always think before you post. There are several types of social media sites. Different social media platforms allow people to express themselves in different ways. If you're willing, in the chat, go ahead and share with social media platforms that you're familiar with. I'll give you guys a second. There can be, we're all familiar. Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, things even like Pinterest or Instagram or LinkedIn. Let's talk about the different kinds of social media platforms as well as their potential benefits and risks. So the first one we're gonna look at is professional networking sites like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great example for our purposes here. Professional networking sites allow you to interact with other users as well as companies that are looking to hire. So building a profile on a site like this can be a great step towards finding a new job or even building your career. When you sign up for a professional networking site, you can learn about available jobs, research companies you may want to work for, and read and post articles about work. I think that's the key there, only about work. You can also connect with other people who may be able to help you professionally. For some professional networking sites, you even have the option of changing your profile to show recruiters that you're actively looking for work. So they'll be more likely to contact you. When you interact with anyone on a professional networking site, remember to keep it professional, work appropriate, and positive. If you wouldn't feel comfortable saying something in an office or on your job, don't say it on a professional networking site. I think that's a good rule of thumb. The next one is photo and video sharing sites like Instagram or TikTok. These sites allow you to post and share photos and videos with friends as well as the general public. So photo and video sharing sites are sometimes used for job searches or career building, especially if you work in a field where your work can be shown visually, or even if you're an independent, a owner, operator. For example, if you have a landscaping business, you might want to create a profile where you can showcase recent photos of your work. Other examples of professions that could benefit from a profile include hairstylists, house painters, performers, artists, and designers of all types. If you own a retail business, you could showcase your store's merchandise or any changes that are going on your storefront. Before you post anything business related for a business you do not own, it's important to make sure that you have permission from the owner of that business. And if you do create an account for your business, it's important to use that account only for sharing business related photos and videos. So if you have a separate account for personal use, it's a good idea to make your account private so that potential customers or employees or employers won't see your personal content. So your business profile would be public, but your personal profile will be set to private. So microblogging sites like Twitter allow you to share your thoughts in the form of just a sentence or two. These sites can be a very good way for writers and other language-based content creators to communicate with a wide audience. Similar to photo sharing sites, you can also use microblogging sites to create interest in your professional skills or business. These sites do pose risks. Arguments and inappropriate behaviors such as harassment from others can take place. It's sort of anonymous in that way. Anything you post on a public microblogging site is viewable to anyone, whether they know you or not. So those are things to consider. If you delete something after posting it, it's possible that another user has taken a screenshot of your post before you deleted it. So if you're looking for a job, it's a good idea to have your profile set to private or to limit your posts to thoughts or topics that you wouldn't mind a potential employer seeing. So if it's a business profile, keep it to business. If it's your personal profile, consider if you'd be okay with a potential employer seeing it if you keep your account public. But if not so much, feel free to make that account private. Social networking sites allow you to stay in touch with people you know and even meet new people. I think they're probably talking about Facebook here. They don't mention Facebook outright, but some social networking sites allow you to set up a profile for a business. Facebook for Business. It's a very important part of Facebook. If you set up a business account, you should make sure to keep your postings strictly to information or content about that business. As with microblogging or Twitter or Instagram and video sharing sites, it's best to keep your personal profile to private, and it will keep anyone without permission from seeing your personal information and opinions away or out. They won't be able to see it. Excuse me. So now that you know a little bit more about the different types of social media, we're going to try a short exercise. For this exercise, imagine that you're a hiring manager looking to hire a salesperson for a clothing store that you own. You've received a lot of application and interviewed several candidates. And after a round of interviews, 3 candidates really stood out. You decide to perform an online search to check out their social media presence. And that happens. Always employers are Googling somebody before they hire them. So this is what you find. For person A, they have a public profile on professional networking and social networking sites such as LinkedIn and Facebook. They have a private photo sharing account that you do not have access to. So they have a private Instagram account. And you see posts about new sales techniques and changes in the retail industry. On their social networking site, you see that they've posted about a cause that they care about, the environment. Person B has public profiles on social networking and photo sharing sites, Facebook and Instagram. Their social networking page features posts about a difficult breakup, and their photo sharing account has photos of them with their friends at a party. Person C has profiles on microblogging and social networking sites, both Twitter and Facebook. Their social media features intense debates about current events, and on their photo sharing profile, they've posted funny cat memes. Now, take a moment to gather your thoughts and share the considerations in the chat if you're inclined. Imagine that each of the candidates of this job has a similar background in terms of their experience, and they are all a good fit for this job. How would their social media behavior affect or change your hiring decision? Would it? Why do you feel that way? So I'll give you just a minute or so to consider. And if you think of something, feel free to share it in the chat. All right, we'll look at person A. The considerations that I've thought about are that they show interest in their job on social media. They actively are learning new techniques and engaging in conversation about what's going on in their industry in a positive and positive and important way, sharing content with their colleagues. Person B, the info about their dating life is fine to share with friends, but they may not want employers to know about their personal life. So if sharing personal details on social media is important to that person, they should probably consider making their account private, so it's just visible to those people that they want to see that, and not me as the hiring manager. Sharing photos from parties can make employers think of them in a different way. Employers might be distracted from the professionalism they displayed during the interview. It's like the person that I interviewed isn't the person that I see in these photos. Which one's the real one? I think this is particularly important to recent grads or even high school students that have had accounts for a while at a time in their life where their career maybe isn't on the top of their mind. So it's completely fair, but there should be sort of an audit. If you search yourself and you see that what comes back isn't necessarily what you would think an employee, a potential employer would want to see, you need to make some changes. And person C, gets in heated debates. Opinions on controversial topics could offend an employer, or even worse, a potential customer of that business, and that might make the hiring manager a little nervous. So cat memes probably won't hurt their chances of employment as long as they're positive, and they're always going to be cute. So if you choose to participate in social media, there are ways to minimize any potential negative impacts of your online presence on your job or career growth. And we're going to talk about a few ways to keep the risks of using social media the lowest that they can be. So, rule of thumb, before you post anything on social media, pause and ask yourself these questions. Would I be comfortable if this was printed on the front page of the newspaper? Or think of someone in your life, like maybe your parents or your grandparents, a close friend, or even your child, a person whose opinion really matters to you. Ask yourself, how would I feel if this person saw this post? Do I want my grandma reading this about my opinion or what I think about a situation online? So it's easy to post things in a heated or emotional moment that we might regret later. It's also hard to know in advance how these posts might be interpreted by other people. I mean, I don't know how many of you share this, but even in text messages, which are private, sometimes sarcasm doesn't go over in the same way if you're typing it versus if you're saying it. So just be careful and think about the interpretation. Anything you post could have unintended consequences. And also remember, anyone who has access to your social media accounts can take, even if you're private, but anybody that can see them can take screenshots of your posts and share them. That means that anything you post online has the chance to be seen by potential employers or anyone else. So pausing to think before posting is a really good way to prevent posting something that you might be embarrassed by later, or that other people might find offensive. We don't really want to offend people on social media. So I think the kind of overall suggestion with this session is that when in doubt, lock down your accounts. Set your personal social media accounts to private. This will allow you to approve any potential followers and friends on social media before they can see the content that you're sharing. Employers can't look at a private account unless you give them access to it. So if you have a private account, whatever you post will be between you and your friends. So that even is, a consideration. Who are your friends that you follow on there? Are they work colleagues? They might not be your boss, but they might be adjacent to you in your career, not in your private life, but in your work life. So self-expression can be healthy and helpful, but sometimes social media just isn't the best place to share your deepest feelings. Since social media posts are not in person or face-to-face, people will often say and do things online that they might not otherwise say or do. Regardless of how it's said or done, words and actions online can have a real impact on lives and careers. On social media, it's possible for something to go viral, which means that social media posts get reposted by others over and over until thousands or even millions of people have seen it. I think right now there's something going on. I saw multiple times just today of somebody that was in a store in a mall and was kind of having a public freak out, but it's the sort of basis of their freak out is interesting because they keep saying over and over, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my job. That's kind of why it went viral. So things end up online, and when it goes viral, you have no control over where it goes and what happens. It doesn't happen that often, but thousands or millions of people can see it when it does. If your post goes viral for something positive, like a good deed or your job or your, whatever you're doing in your public life, it could be positively impacted for you. You could see that change your work in a good way. Going viral doesn't happen all the time, but if it does go viral because you said something that people find offensive, it can lead to serious consequences or even losing your job. So while it doesn't happen that often, it is still something to consider. So let's talk about a few ways that you can use social media to help you build your career or find a new job. Whether you're looking for a job, wanting to change careers, or interested in networking or building your career or business, it's a good idea to create a profile on a professional networking site. So you don't have to post frequently, but having an account like this can help you build a good reputation in your field, learn about industry, and meet people you might want to work with. So people really enjoy LinkedIn. We do a lot of programs on LinkedIn at the library, and following people and kind of growing that network really is a great way to kind of get a perspective on the field or the landscape regionally, as well as knowing changes that people are making in their careers and even yourself. So if you're searching for a job, you can indicate on LinkedIn that you're open to working directly, open to recruiters reaching out to you to ask if you're interested in workers or in open and active positions. If you're employed at that time, keep in mind that your current employer will be able to see your status. You might want to wait until the end of your employment before openly sharing your interest in a new position. I think this might be out of date information. I feel like I've read recently that those that you can make it so it's not public that you are open to inquiries about employment. But you'd have to research a little bit. I'm sure LinkedIn makes it very clear when you change that on your status or on your account. You can build your profile on a professional networking site by following these steps. Showcase your work or accomplishments in your field. So did your team finish a big project or meet an ambitious goal? Did you receive an award from your company? These are all really great things to post about. Share your volunteer work. So post videos of yourself volunteering or share information about a nonprofit or charity that you admire. And these types of posts show potential employers that you're engaged with your community. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can post and share articles that demonstrate you're engaged in your industry or comment on industry-related articles that others have posted. And you can engage in discussions with other people in your field. If you see someone online whose work you admire, let them know. After you've established a connection, you can even ask if they would be willing to talk to you about the work that they do. And never use a professional networking sites to meet a romantic partner or debate someone. Always keep your interactions polite and professional, especially on LinkedIn or other professional networking sites. If you run your own business, there's lots of ways you can use social media to promote it. Plus, you can add your online presence elsewhere on the web to make sure everyone can find out about the products and services you provide. If you're running a business, social media is one way for potential customers to find out about you. Just one. Though some sites might require payment, creating a social media presence can be a free source of advertising. So start with just one platform. Once you've got one up and running, you can expand and add another social media site. But to begin, choose one that makes the most sense. For example, if your business is one that is best promoted through images like hairstyling or gardening, consider using a photo sharing social media app like Instagram. If you run a store or a bakery, think about building a business page on a social networking site like Facebook. Another option for getting your information online is to create a website for your business. When you have a website, people will be able to learn about your business and even connect and contact you through that site. There are low cost and even free options for building a website. Google Sites allows you to build and maintain a website for free. I have experience with both Facebook for Business and the Google Sites that they're talking about here. Google and Facebook are obviously, competitors, but Facebook for Business really has developed and aimed to almost offer businesses a way to, like, they can have everything about their business on their Facebook page. Some businesses don't even have websites anymore. They exclusively use Facebook. But it is important to know that not everyone has a Facebook page. So if you are a business owner who has a Facebook page and nothing else, it's a good idea to consider the people that don't use Facebook, and maybe Google Sites is an option for you. Google Sites is really cool because it's free. It's templates. It's super easy, kind of drag and drop, but it has, since it's Google and Google is Google, right? I don't want to say reward you, but if you host your website on Google and you kind of exist in the Google ecosystem, so you create your Google My Business profile off when you, like if you were to search the library, it's off to the right-hand side on Google. It says your name, your address, it lets people engage, you have reviews, you've all seen it. If you do a great job at keeping that up to date and say you use Google Sites, they might, just for free, because you kind of exist in their ecosystem, boost your where you show up on any type of search, just because you're kind of drinking the Google Kool-Aid. But you can also pay to have your website, if it's not hosted at Google, show up through Google Ads and such, and have your presence pop up a little quicker than it might if you weren't pumping any money into it. So that might be a topic for another day, but it's just kind of interesting how they all work together, or even maybe a little against one another. So this one, this is a really short program today. Obviously, we're only at the half-hour mark, but I thought we could just go through this really quickly together, because part of managing your online presence is knowing what people see when they search you, and there really is no secret to it. It's if an employer is trying to find information about you, it's all on Google. So starting on your homepage, type in google.com and press enter. Type your name into the search bar and press enter. And take a look at what pops up. Where does it pop up? What's on the top? What's in the middle? Is it social media? Can you consider making those accounts private? Those sort of things will happen immediately. So if you see what pops up is your Twitter profile from college, or a Facebook page that you're very vocal and active on, but you're not set to private, or the content that is set to public isn't something that you necessarily appreciate, you can go in and change all of those permissions, and those changes will take effect immediately. What don't you have control over? Things like newspaper reports or public records. So if those things aren't easy for you to change, like social media accounts, there are things that you can do. I mentioned sort of the Google Ads and the Google Analytics. You can make it, and companies you can pay that will sort of, I think what they do is they basically pad it. So let's say there's an article about you or your business that pops up, and it's on the first page. What they might do is create content or create search results that would, and then pay to have them show up sooner. So the things that you don't want to see go farther down in the list. If you're ever looking and make a search on Google and you see the first page is kind of the gold standard, right? If you can get to the information that you're looking for on that first page, it's good. But very, infrequently are people going to the second, third, fourth, fifth page of Google, which, there are sometimes thousands of pages for any particular Google search. So newspaper reports, maybe a little harder to do. Public records, also harder to do, but definitely doable. You just might have to find some help that's their specific thing that they do for people. It's a business. It is a business. So to recap, we looked at social media sites. We talked about social media. What types of social media sites are there? We imagined that we were a hiring manager and looking at 3 different candidates with 3 different permission settings on their social media profiles, and which one and how it changed the way we might consider any of those candidates. We went over some social media best practices and had some considerations about making social media work for you. My name is Ashley Johnson. I am the Business and Outreach Librarian at the Vernon Area Library. So if you would like to go over anything that I mentioned, feel free to reach out to me. My email is ajohnson@vapld.info. And I have a handout that will go over some of the things that we talked about today, along with this recording that has been I've been recording the class that I'm going to be recording. So after today, probably around tomorrow, I will email both of those things to you, and you'll have my email then. But please feel free to share this with anybody who you think might value hearing it. It'll be on the library's YouTube channel. Yeah, so I thank you for your time today, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of this cloudy day, and let me know if there's anything I can help you with, or if you have any questions about it, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.